with the latest on the corporate front, all the market trends, expert opinion, and sound business advice. It is your unique window into the business world, direct from the heart of China.
Hello and welcome to Biz Today. I'm Zhao Yang in Beijing. Coming up, we will have half an hour of business news and analysis. On today's show, AI initiative. China unveils a national policy to accelerate the development and application of artificial intelligence. How will this reshape the economy and people's lives? And we will also take a look at how China is doubling down on the biotech industry. And now let's begin with our top story. China's State Council has released a nationwide policy guideline to promote the development and application of artificial intelligence. The guideline aims to integrate and commercialize AI across 6 key areas, including technology, industry, consumer upgrades, public welfare, governance, and international cooperation. According to the plan, the adoption rate of AI technology in smart devices is expected to reach 70% by the year 2027 and 90% by the year 2030. In addition to boosting the domestic economy, Chinese policymakers hope to share these advanced technologies with other countries. So for more on this, joined us on the line now are Dr. Zhou Mi, Senior Research Fellow with the Chinese Academy of International Trade and Economic Cooperation, Li Lun, Assistant Professor of Economics, Peking University, and also Yan Liang, Professor of Economics, Willamette University. So I will start with you. China has released a roadmap for AI integration across the economy and society. So what's your main takeaway of it?
Well, I think this really indicates China's long-term strategic vision of creating a smart human-machine collaborative economy and society. And China has already rolled out some very key policies. And so the latest round are really action plans that are really emphasizing on 6 different sectors, including science, technology, industry, consumption, people's livelihood, governance, and global cooperation. So I think what this matters is that it shows that China is not only keen on the R&Ds and developing, the next generation AI models and AI technologies to have some foundational, breakthroughs when it comes to, algorithm optimization or, just the model's accuracy, efficiency, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, I think China is really focusing on the integration and application of AI into the broader economy and societies. And so I think that is really the way to capitalize on the AI developments to really help to drive productivity growth, to cultivate new generations of technologies and industries, but also to share these technologies with the broader, wider world instead of monopolizing the technologies and only enrich, a few monopoly companies and so on and so forth. So I really think that it's a very important moment at this time that really showcase, China is going to forge ahead with the AI development and also AI diffusion and applications.
And Li Lun, so what's your main takeaway from it?
So basically, according to the guideline, we're aiming to have above 70% of adoption in smart devices and AI agents by 2027 and 90% by 2030. So I think this provides, a very clear guideline for the industry. And overall, I think it's very important for China to have such a guideline because it points the future direction for both the investors and also for industries to kind of know what areas should we put more effort in, and also in terms of setting the standards and reducing duplication, reducing excessive competition. I think this plan is basically very important in terms of raising the innovation in terms of from a market behavior to a national strategic level.
And so, Dr. Zhou Mi, why do you think is it so important for China to have a national guideline for AI development at this moment?
Well, when we are talking about the artificial intelligence, I think that everybody knows that it is a really important advance of the technology. But how can we just try to make it go in the right direction? It's not a very easy question to answer. So in my understanding that China is such a huge country. We have a very big market, and all the enterprises are trying to do more to improve their competitiveness. If we are not trying to give some very important signal to the market, maybe some of them are just thinking about their own benefits. I think that from this guideline, you can find that Chinese government make it very clear that we should try to work towards the goal of the China's modernization. It's a really important goal for us to reach. So in this regard, we are not just talking about the technology. We are not only talking about the business mode. We're trying to have a systematically way of dealing with this kind of emerging issues. And we're also trying to share the opportunities with our partners. So I think that this moment is a really important one when we are seeing the world is in the crossing road of the protectionism or more globalization. We are seeing some countries trying to block the technology diffusion and also trying to stop the cooperation between the different countries. So China as the supermarket and also are very important suppliers of the artificial intelligence abilities. I think that is really important for ourselves and also our partners to know that what we are going to do and what we are trying to follow in the different direction and also coming in the, for the target of the welfare of all of us.
And yeah, so the policy emphasized 6 key areas, including technology, industry, consumption, public welfare, governance, and global cooperation. So could you give us some specific examples of AI applications in China? How will it benefit different sectors, and which area may face more challenges?
Right. So I think when it comes to AI, it's really a all-purpose technology. So as you just mentioned, this technology can be applied in those different 6 core areas or sectors. So for science technology, AI can be used to speed up scientific research innovation, for example, drug discovery, and in many other healthcare industries that we could see the development of AI. For industries, the smart factories, smart manufacturing, that could really use robots and also autonomous vehicles that would help to improve the industrial productivity. Consumption, I think that it's also a very interesting application. When it comes to AI, it could help to enhance e-commerce, provide better entertainment experiences, travel experiences. It would make a lot of the, for example, home appliances smarter and more efficient and more personalized. So when it comes to consumption, it could work on both consumer goods and also services. And when it comes to people's welfare, I think that it's very important for AI-powered services for healthcare, smart elderly care, and childcare. So that would really help to enhance people's livelihood. For governance, that's really helping to use the AI to streamline and to make public administration more efficient. And last but not the least, I think when it comes to global cooperation, this is really not only to advance AI technologies, but really in terms of governance. I think that requires a lot of global cooperation. And I think this last one is particularly challenging because we know now the United States also unveiled their AI action plans. And it seems that what they emphasize is really, deregulation and also a lot of investment in infrastructure, as well as maintaining the US's technological leadership, rather than really thinking about ways to, spread the AI technologies and, govern the technologies together. So I think, global cooperation will remain a challenge, but I think, China will do its part and try to foster more cooperation globally.
So, Dr. Zhou Mi, Chinese policymakers hope to share these advanced technologies with other countries. So, what do you make of this approach?
Yeah, it is true that artificial intelligence are having different levels of development. But I think that is also important for us to know that globalization is a very certain trend. We cannot stop the spread of the technology, and we cannot block the diffusion of this technology by only the government efforts. So for China, we are an open country. We keep our word to open our market to other countries, but we're also trying to support other countries to do more to improve their abilities. So in this world, we know that developing countries, especially the least developed countries, are lack of enough infrastructure and abilities to get the benefit from this development of the technology, especially the artificial intelligence. So for China, I think that we want to do more global collaboration because we promised that we want to build the shared future with our partners in the Belt and Road initiatives and also in different kind of mechanism and platforms. Chinese companies are trying to use an open source kind of method to deal with artificial intelligence. And we know that different countries have their different targets. They have the different principles. So we want to support the diffusion of the technology and also support the companies in the other countries to also strengthen their abilities in the involvement of the artificial intelligence era. So I think it's not only about the technology, it's also about our principles and our philosophy of doing something together to benefit from the globalization with all of us.
And Dr. Zhou Mi, so for the AI development, Shanghai has announced an AI plus manufacturing plan. So how transformative can AI be for the traditional industries like manufacturing?
Well, this year and the year before, I have anticipated or participated a lot of conferences. Many of them are in the traditional sectors. Most of these conferences, when the people are talking about their future, they're talking about the technology. They want to do more to improve their abilities in, dealing the resources in a different way. I think that everybody knows that traditional sectors are, most of them are labor intensive. They are trying to deal with the resources, deal with the environment, the relations with other trading partners. So for them, they want to improve their efficiency, for the most part of this world. So actually, I think that it's a very applicable for many of these companies to use the artificial intelligence, trying to make the decision process shorter and smarter. I think that it is very helpful for those companies to know the market before they can make the decisions. When we are trying to see that Chinese government has some very clear signal, we do not want more involvement competition. We want the companies to do more innovation. So artificial intelligence can help these sectors under these companies to do more. But I have to say there are also some challenges for the people who are working in these sectors. They have to work very hard and faster to learn how can they use this new technology, and maybe some of them have to find some alternative jobs in the different sectors. But in my understanding, that technology is improving. That is an unstoppable trend. We have to get us involved in this kind of method. And I think that I believed that many of these enterprises and also the people working in these traditional sectors can do more to benefit from these benefits by, improving their skills and also to know more how can they use the technology to deal with the different issues.
And this is for manufacturing. So Li Lun, how significant is healthcare sector as a proving ground for AI adoption?
Yeah, I think healthcare is one of the most important proving ground or applications for AI because it relates to so many different areas, which AI can benefit and provide. For example, in terms of innovation, so AI can definitely help the scientists find, the protein structures and, find or develop new drugs in a faster pace. So we're already seeing some of that consequences or some of that good results, being showcased in the first half of 2025. AI also can help with the medical devices. Basically, we're seeing papers and researches done on, AI-assisted medical softwares, which could help, in terms of radiology, cardiology, or the eye surgeons to provide better diagnosis and to also earlier and more accurate diagnosis as well. So in terms of innovation, in terms of services, and also in terms of the application or regulatory burdens, because in many of the cases, these medical or healthcare applications also face some burdens from the regulation. So how to speed up the regulation process, but still guaranteeing the safety of these new innovations. I think that's a challenge that also through the process of a testing ground for AI adoption that our policymakers and governance can improve through their experience. So overall, I think for choosing the healthcare as one of the main proving grounds for AI adoption is very wise, and we're definitely going to see many good results coming from it.
And Yan, so China is already one of the world's largest venture capital markets for AI. So what makes investors so confident about AI applications in China?
Well, I think there are a couple of reasons. One is that it's clear that China's AI development has been really in that leadership position. So when it comes to the AI models, when it comes to these foundational technologies, China has made many breakthroughs. And more important than that is the potential of integrating AI into the broader real economy and capitalize and commercialize the AI technologies. And I think, again, that's a very interesting contrast between China and the United States, the two sort of competitors. We look at China, it has many government initiatives, and also entrepreneurs are trying to really integrate AI into their production, in their services delivery, and in many sectors of the economy. Whereas the United States seem to be really emphasizing on the technological development, very large capex. For example, this year, companies have already spent over $375 billion or projected to by the year end to spend more than $300 billion in the AI development, especially when it comes to AI centers and so on and so forth. But the MIT just released a report recently and said 95% of corporations are not able to really make positive returns on AI. So I think the contrast is very stark, that in China, AI is developed in a cost-effective way and it's open sources, which means it can be much more easily and faster integrated into various sectors and really see, the potential of driving technological improvements and productivity growth, and therefore to be able to, make positive returns, economic returns on the AI technology. So I think this really long-term trend, and also in terms of the short-term stimulus from the stimulation, right, from AI's launch, DeepSeek model. I think all of this just shows that China has a great potential going forward in that AI technology and its integration into the real world economy, economy. And I think that is why galvanized the global investors to look into China. Not to mention, I think, when it comes to right now, a lot of these stock market valuations, China's tech firms are very much still undervalued. So there is still great potential to make some returns when investors invest in China's technological companies.
Well, we're speaking with Yan Liang, Professor of Economics, Willamette University, Dr. Zhou Mi, Senior Research Fellow with the Chinese Academy of International Trade and Economic Cooperation, and also Li Lun, Assistant Professor of Economics, Peking University. And after a short break, we'll take a look at how China is doubling down on the biotech industry. Stay with us.
Welcome. I'm Elaf Elad, economics professor and member of the Data Science and AI Center at New York University, Shanghai. On the World Today program, you can find in-depth and impartial insight, as well as critical commentary on key trends in the Chinese economy, financial technology, business, and blockchain. To prepare for the world tomorrow, join me on World Today.
You're listening to Biz Today. I'm Zhao Yang in Beijing. China is making great efforts on the biotech industry. In the first half of this year, Chinese drug developers signed over 140 deals with foreign pharmaceutical companies, accounting for 1/3 of all global agreements. And this was $60 billion. Chinese firms are increasingly out-licensing drug candidates to global giants like Pfizer and AstraZeneca, from cancer therapies to immune treatments. At the same time, Beijing is pushing hard to speed up approvals, strengthen R&D capacity, and nurture innovation. So, Li Lun, I will start with you. In the first half of this year, Chinese drug developers signed over 140 deals with foreign pharmaceutical companies. So what does this tell us about China's position in the global biotech landscape?
Yeah, so if you consider, for example, the scale and also the percentage of these deals in terms of the global share, so I think China has gradually becoming a more important, or even we could say a central node in these biopharma investment and partnership. So I think one of the reasons is that what you mentioned, the out licensing business model, and also China's strong R&D power and depth. So I think this partnership basically gives Chinese developers lower risk level, because the pipeline of these the funding and the pipeline for these drug developments are usually very long. So in terms of collaborating with multinationals, this basically diversifies some of the risk. So basically Chinese companies can scale up their science and development in terms of finding the new proteins and new formulas for the drugs. And when it comes to testing, when it comes to the more costly stuff, and when it comes to kind of the marketing, testing and that kind of stuff, delegate those tasks to the big pharma. So I think this cost-efficient way of collaborating, I think it's one of the reasons why so many deals are happening in China. Only just in the first half of 2025, and I think there's definitely more to come.
And yeah, so out-license is a common model for Chinese drug firms. So why is this model? What's the benefit of it? And what do global companies gain from these deals? And what does Chinese companies gain?
Right. So this is typically the Chinese companies, they license out global rights to their drug candidates in exchange for considerations from their multinational corporation partners. And that really sort of centers on this partnership, which allow the Chinese companies to leverage on their existing or external infrastructure and also capital provided by these multinational corporations to accelerate the development and also commercialization of the innovative drugs. And it's typically now in oncology that we're seeing a lot of these out-licensing models. So I think, this has been ongoing. It's actually started and really had a rapid growth since 2015. So again, I think this is a sort of a mutual benefits where China has these new and emerging kind of innovative assets that could utilize the global partners to provide infrastructure and capital to be able to together share the fruits of the accelerated development and commercialization of the drugs. So I think it's mutual benefits that allow China to develop the drugs, but also the global, partners to be able to also take part in this process.
And Dr. Zhou Mi, so Chinese Premier Li Qiang has called for stronger policy support for the biotech industry. Tell us more about that. How significant is this moment for China's pharmaceutical sector? Why is biotech considered as a strategic industry for China now?
Well, I agree with Professor Li Lun that the investment in the drug-related industries is very long-term. So the companies have to take or bear very huge risks when they are trying to develop the new drugs. So for the corporation, I think that between China and other pharmaceutical partners, we have so many shared futures, shared benefits on the super large market in China. I think that it is true that we are touching about different or meanings of different kind of units, and some of them are not so easy to be found in other part of the world. But China has such a huge population, so it is really a very important platform or opportunities for some companies to deal with some kind of the rare drugs for rare illness. So it's a kind of a very important opportunity for them to do more things in China. And as Ian has mentioned, that the outsourcing is kind of a very important collaboration mode between Chinese companies and other companies. I think for Chinese companies, they are really want to do more in these areas because China has a very strict management about the new drug. So with the innovative ways of management, I think that the government is trying to give some support for the hospitals and also the doctors to use the latest drugs and also to create some of their own. So for China, I think that the drugs are only just a start. They have connected with many more suppliers in the supply chains, including the medicines producers, the materials producers, and also the hospitals, the equipment. There are so many things that they can be connected. We know that China is trying to support or to encourage the consumption, while the service consumption is also important for the people who are trying to take care of the units, for the people who are going to take care of the senior. If we are able to do that, I think that the consumption in China can be boosted, and we have a much more strong support of the consumption and also a better life for the people living here in China.
And yeah, so China approved 50 innovative drugs in the first 7 months of this year, and this has already surpassed last year's total. So what does this tell us about China's innovation pipeline?
Right. So I think it just goes on to show that, just like AI and many other cutting-edge technologies, China is really making a lot of headways in terms of research and development, and in this case, in terms of development of, drugs and other medical devices. In fact, the United States' Harvard-Belfer Center has pointed out that out of the 5 key technologies that includes, AI, biotech, semiconductor, space, and quantum, out of these 5 critical tech sector, China has the most immediate opportunity to overtake the United States in biotech in their quotes. And so I think that just goes on to show that China's strength in this area. I think, again, it's partly driven by needs. As we know, China is fast aging, and there's a lot of medical needs as well. And so I think it makes a lot of sense to, make the biotech sector as a strategic interest, as a strategic industry, double down the efforts to support this industry. And so that's why we're seeing now the sector is really thriving and booming. And according to the Harvard-Belfer Center, they say China's biotech strengths really come from China's dominance in pharmaceutical production and manufacturing, in addition to having a lot of human talents. China's biotech industry is also supported by a lot of policy initiatives and flexible regulatory regimes. And again, I think this just goes on to show that China has a very strategic vision and also has a very calibrated process to support these strategic industries. As compared to the United States, I think, again, the U.S. seem to be lacking right now some of the foundational input and investments into the biotech sector.
Well, we're speaking with Yan Liang, Professor of Economics, Willamette University, Li Lun, Assistant Professor of Economics, Peking University, and also Dr. Zhou Mi, Senior Research Fellow with the Chinese Academy of International Trade and Economic Cooperation. And that's all the time for this edition of Biz Today. To listen to this episode again or to find more previous episodes, you can download our podcast by searching for Biz Today. I'm Zhao Yang in Beijing. Thank you so much for listening.